Okay, so let's dive into something that I bet you use all the time
Mm.
without even realizing it.
Okay.
The first conditional.
All right.
Those if this happens, then that will happen. Sentences.
Right.
It's like the secret code to sounding super smooth and natural in English.
Exactly. It's really fascinating how the first conditional just reflects how we think about things like cause and effect,
Yeah.
those everyday possibilities.
Right, and our sources lay out this basic recipe, so to speak.
Okay.
It's if plus the present simple tense,
Right.
even though we're talking about the future,
Yeah.
which is kind of weird when you think about it.
It is a little strange.
And then followed by will,
Mm.
and then just the base form of the verb.
Yeah.
Simple, right?
It seems straightforward, but there's a subtle kind of brilliance to it.
Okay.
Because using the present simple for future events, it actually highlights the uncertainty of it.
Mhm.
It's like saying, we don't know for sure, but if this happens,
Right.
then that's the likely outcome.
So we're using the present tense to talk about the future.
Yeah.
That's wild.
I know.
Never thought about it that way.
It's a cool little trick.
Yeah, and our sources had some great real-life examples like, if you miss the bus, I'll drive you.
Yeah, classic parental reassurance right there.
Right.
And it just captures perfectly the essence of what the first conditional is.
Yeah.
It's those everyday what-if situations.
And the sources point out some common traps people fall into, like using will after if.
Yeah.
Like, if it will rain.
Oh, yeah.
I've totally been guilty of that.
It's so common.
It just seems so natural.
Especially if your native language uses a future tense after if.
Uh-huh.
But in English, that present simple in the if clause signals that future possibility.
Gotcha.
It's a bit of a mind bender, but once you get it, your English will sound so much more polished.
Yeah, it's like a secret handshake for fluent English speakers.
Exactly.
Okay, so now we've got if plus present simple. But our sources also mention we can use other things besides will in the result part of the sentence, right?
For sure.
Oh, thank goodness.
Yeah, you're not stuck with will forever.
Tell me we're not stuck with a will forever.
We are not.
Okay, good.
There are other options.
So,
You can swap in going to, for example,
okay.
for a slightly different shade of meaning.
All right.
Instead of just a neutral prediction, going to suggests more intention and planning.
Okay.
So, for example, if I see Sarah, I'm going to tell her about the party.
Uh-huh.
Sounds like you've already decided what you'll do.
Right.
If you see her, it's happening.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
It's like choosing the right tool for the job,
Exactly.
depending on how much you want to emphasize that intention.
Yeah.
What about other variations?
Yeah.
The sources mention like imperatives and modal verbs.
Right. Imperatives add like a directness.
Okay.
So you can say like, if you see Mark, tell him to call me.
Okay.
It assumes compliance, whereas if you see Mark, you should tell him to call me.
Right.
That's just a suggestion.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah.
I can see how understanding these little nuances
Yeah.
can really improve someone's English.
For sure.
What about those modal verbs?
Oh, yeah, these tricky modal verbs.
They always seem a bit tricky to me.
Yeah, well, they add a layer of possibility or obligation to your statement.
Okay.
Like, if it rains, you might need a jacket.
Yeah.
Leaves room for doubt.
Right.
Whereas, if it rains, you should take an umbrella.
Okay.
Sounds more like an advice.
So these variations let us, like, fine-tune our message.
Exactly.
Express different levels of certainty or advice.
Yeah.
That's really helpful.
It is.
Okay, but before we go any further, let's just pause here for a quick knowledge check.
Okay.
I'm curious, what stood out to you so far about the first conditional?
Yeah. Take a second to think about it.
Any aha moments?
What are some examples of the first conditional you've heard or used today?
Yeah, think about it for a second.
We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors.
Just kidding. We don't have any sponsors yet.
Not yet.
But stay tuned because things are about to get really interesting.
Oh, yeah. I bet you've already started noticing the first conditional popping up everywhere.
Oh, yeah?
It's like we use it all the time.
It's amazing.
Without even realizing it.
Yeah, how something so common can have so much depth to it.
Exactly.
Speaking of depth,
Okay.
one of our sources had this really cool section about how the first conditional isn't just for these happy-go-lucky,
Right.
if this, then that situations.
Yeah.
It can get a bit more intense.
Exactly. Think warnings, threats.
Okay.
All delivered in a lighthearted way, of course.
Right.
Even straight up advice.
Uh-huh.
It's about using the structure strategically to get your point across.
So it's not all sunshine and rainbows.
No.
Like, if you don't study, you'll fail the test.
Right. Every student's nightmare.
I remember hearing that a lot back in school.
Oh, yeah.
But it perfectly illustrates how the first conditional can express those potential negative consequences.
Exactly.
And it doesn't have to be so dire.
No, not at all.
It can also be used for gentle nudges, like, if you're tired, you should take a break.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, that makes me wonder, what are some other ways we can use the first conditional to, like, spice up our conversations?
Okay.
The sources hinted at this idea of it being a tool for persuasion or even negotiation.
Oh, for sure. That's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
Because think about how we use it to make promises.
Uh-huh.
If you help me with this project, I'll buy you lunch.
Right.
Or lay down the law, playfully, of course.
Okay.
If you eat all the cookies, you won't get any ice cream.
I like that.
Yeah,
It's like a subtle way of influencing someone's actions
exactly.
by presenting these potential outcomes.
Yeah,
Good and bad.
exactly. And this is where understanding all those little nuances of the first conditional
Right.
become really powerful.
Yeah.
You can motivate, you can warn, you can bargain.
It's almost like you're giving people options.
Yeah, you're laying out those likely consequences of different actions.
That reminds me of something our sources mentioned.
Okay.
Like, listening for the first conditional in the real world,
Yeah.
it's everywhere.
It really is.
From weather forecasts to political speeches,
Oh, yeah.
even just everyday conversations we have with friends and family.
It's a hidden language of possibilities and consequences.
Wow.
That's constantly being spoken all around us.
I like that.
Think about those news headlines.
Yeah.
You know, if interest rates continue to rise, the housing market could slow down.
Okay.
Or even just casual conversations. If we leave, now we can catch the early movie.
Right. It's almost like a game.
Yeah.
Trying to spot all the ways
Exactly.
people are using this.
And the more you listen for it,
yeah.
the more natural it will become for you to use it in your own conversations as well.
It's all about developing that ear for the subtle ways we express
Exactly.
cause and effect.
Cause and effect.
So we've covered a lot of ground.
We have.
The structure, the variations strategic uses, but I think it's time to put our knowledge to the test.
Okay, I like it.
Remember that complete the conditional game
Yeah.
we mentioned earlier?
One of my favorites.
Let's play another round.
Awesome, I'm ready.
Okay, here's your if clause.
Yeah. Okay.
If artificial intelligence continues to develop at this rate,
Ooh, that's a good one.
take a moment to ponder the possibilities,
Yeah.
both good and bad.
Think about it.
What could the future hold?
Don't be shy. Let your imagination run wild.
Yeah.
What are some potential outcomes that could arise from such rapid advancements in AI?
We'll be back in a flash to explore some of those possibilities together. Okay, welcome back. That was a tough one, wasn't it?
It was.
If artificial intelligence keeps advancing at this pace,
Yeah, so many possibilities.
so many possibilities, both exciting and maybe a little scary.
Right, it really gets you thinking, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's the power of the first conditional, I think. It's not just about grammar.
Right.
It's about exploring potential futures.
And our sources didn't shy away from those big questions either.
No.
They talked about how AI could revolutionize everything from healthcare
Yeah.
to transportation to you name it.
Exactly. Imagine a world where AI is helping doctors diagnose diseases with incredible accuracy.
Wow.
Or even performing complex surgeries.
Right, like robot surgeons.
Yeah, exactly.
That's wild.
On the flip side, though,
Right.
there are those concerns about job displacement and things like that.
Yeah.
As AI takes over tasks that have traditionally been done by humans.
It's like a real balancing act.
It is.
Figuring out how to harness this power
Yeah.
while also addressing those ethical and societal challenges.
It's a conversation we need to be having right now.
Yeah.
And the first conditional gives us the language to do it, to talk about these potential outcomes, weigh the different possibilities,
Yeah.
and hopefully make informed decisions about the future we're creating.
So if we step back and look at everything we've uncovered today
Yeah.
about this first conditional, it's clear it's more than just this simple grammar rule.
Oh, for sure. Right.
It's like a fundamental way of thinking and communicating in English.
It's about understanding cause and effect,
Yeah.
navigating uncertainty,
Mhm.
expressing ourselves clearly and with confidence.
And the best part,
Yeah.
you're already using it
Right.
all the time.
From those quick, like, if it rains, I'll grab an umbrella moments.
Yeah.
To these deeper conversations about AI.
Exactly.
Right.
It's everywhere. The first conditional is woven into the fabric of our lives.
It's like a hidden superpower
It is.
that we all possess.
We do.
And now that you're aware of it,
Right.
you can start using it with even more precision and purpose.
Exactly.
So our deep dive into the first conditional comes to an end.
It does.
But the exploration doesn't stop here.
No.
keep listening, keep practicing.
Yeah.
And keep discovering all the endless possibilities
That's okay.
of the English language.
And remember,
the next time you hear someone say if, pay attention.
Okay.
You might just be getting a glimpse into the future.
I like that so much to think about. Thanks for joining me today.
It was my pleasure.